What's up, guys? Gaonan here, and welcome to episode 3 of Drafting with Masters. Today, I'm joined by LightsOutAce, a pillar of the Eternal community, so I'm really excited to have him here today. And you just want to plug your stuff, talk about yourself a little bit, brag yourself up?
Yeah, I'm LightsOutAce. I pretty well known in the Eternal community. I stream twitch.tv/LightsOutAce, YouTube LightsOutAce1, Twitter LightsOutAce. You might know me as the mind behind Calcium Control and Scrappy Hour, among other things, but those are the ones that were well known and successful. And I also love draft. I've qualified for the draft challenge, top 100. I think draft is fantastic right now. I'm really enjoying the set and excited to jump in and be here with you.
Actually, you bring that up that you're enjoying this draft environment compared to previous draft environments since you've been around the game for a long time. Is there another set that you would compare this draft environment to, or at least an enjoyment level?
So the only one that I really disliked was 3. I think the drafting was a little bit high variance, and I didn't play it enough to get good at it, and the gameplay itself was kind of miserable because sometimes people would just go off with high roll bond chains.
Yes.
But other than that, I've liked the other sets. I think if I had to rank them, I'd probably go 5, 2, 3 in descending order.
Yeah.
So this is like right in the middle, but like right in the middle is still quite good, and I play it a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think set 3 was actually when I took a 6-month break from Eternal because I just got burned out. I think kind of, with what you described. So not surprised and that we felt similarly because I love this most recent environment. I think it's great. There's a lot of flexibility. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into our draft today, talk about picks and, see where our opinions differ and hopefully learn something from you. So that's what I love about draft is just that there's not always just one right pick, that you really can have a discussion, and there's a lot of bias, I would say, for individual players in it and how they feel about individual cards and strategies and stuff like that. So definitely looking forward to this.
And sometimes you just have to take the fun pick, even if it's not right. Like I know on my stream yesterday, I took a great Kiln Titan that I opened, like pack 2, pick 1.
Oh my gosh.
Over like a better card probably, but like it's great Kiln Titan. You got to play the legendary you open, right?
Heck yeah. Also, you mentioned in your little blurb, you mentioned Scrappy Hour, and that just won the ECQ this past weekend. That was actually the deck that I piloted, but I didn't make it into top 64. I was like a few games short, but I think that deck is great right now. Reanimator is another one that's popped up out of the ECQ, it seems like, but we won't go into rank too much. But very cool that a deck that you have a fond place for is well positioned in the meta right now.
Who cares about constructed?
All right, let's get into this draft. This is quite the first pack. I'm really interested in taking Phoenix Stone here, honestly. I feel like this card is hard to deal with, and it's legendary, and I don't have any. But
so, I mean, looking at the pack, like I think that the best cards are actually Scald, Conflagrate, Forge Master. Probably Conflagrate being the best one, but that's such a boring pick, and like this is a legendary, and you don't have it, so like I think we have to just pick it, right?
And I mean, it's a 4/4 flyer with charge. Like it's flying charge, and then it goes back to, and like it's hard. Like they have to have fast removal to deal with this, right? Or
Yeah,
I guess a Ruination Sledge, which is quite common.
So I haven't actually played with or against this card. Like surprise, surprise, it's a legendary, but costs 2 every single turn, which is kind of a lot. Like compared to like Cryptic Etchings. Granted, the effect is like much greater than Cryptic Etchings, but like, how often do you actually have
two power that you're floating
power around to activate that every turn? So like it's more of a late game card.
That's true.
But
that's true.
I mean, even as a late game card, like a 4/4 flyer that you can play every single turn that's immune to slow removal is like still very strong.
Yeah.
If somebody was taking over Conflag, even not rare drafting, I wouldn't fault them for it. So
yeah, I think I am going to take the Phoenix Stone. As crazy as it sounds, you still see Conflags coming late, and it's a legendary, and I don't have one, so why not? We'll see where it goes. Maybe we don't even end up in fire, but.
Well, I mean, you said it, and here it is, like another Conflagrate.
Right.
I mean, Power Breach Sentinel is the other card in contention, but
Yeah, I
is
agree.
just
Power
better.
Breach is the
So
only other one considering, but might as well stay on color, on plan, and just take Conflag and see where we end up.
what's the most conflags you ever ended up with in a deck? Like I've had 4 a couple times.
4? Ooh. I think pre Mighty Strikes nerf, I had 4 in my deck at one point, but Conflags, I think the most I've ever had is maybe 3 or 2, something like that. So not not as exciting, but I do love the card. I mean, it is. I think it's probably one of the best removal spells in the format right now. I'm trying to think of the other ones that might rank up there with it. Anything coming to mind for you?
In set 4, it's certainly the best. The curated packs have Annihilate and Permafrost, which are
Right,
both better.
right. Yep, agreed. So this pack, I'm looking at Sourpod probably. Everything else is kind of meh. You could take Egg or something like that.
So there's the consuming greed to sacrifice your Phoenix Stone for value, but Phoenix Stone isn't really the sort of relic that we want to be sacrificing. So I agree with Sauropod.
Yeah, that would be an interesting color wheel too, to be in Wind Chest, or I guess you just end up Stone Scar potentially. But if you end up in Wind Chest and you're playing Consuming Greed, because I think of this card as more of like an Aurelian card than I do a Wind Chest one.
I also end up in FPS, like not too infrequently. Like it's not a supported faction combination,
hmm
but it's pretty easy to get there if you like pick up a couple stewards or conflags or whatever, and then open a good primal card.
Yep. Yeah, I've had that happen a couple times too. I wouldn't say they've ever been super successful for me, which is why I try to lean more towards the supported factions. But yes, I have had that happen too, where I get some conflags, I get some stewards, and then in like packs 2 and 3, I'm getting like primal bombs, or I'm getting Acantha's Outriders or something like that to play along with some of that stuff. But yeah, I'm just gonna pick up the Sourpod here. It's just Glacial Shaper, right? I mean, we could take the fixing of Bannerman, but we're likely in a spot where Glacier Shaper is going to get some good value.
If we take Glacier Shaper, we're kind of like looking ideally to be base Skycrag, which is the
hmm
strongest combination to be in. Those are definitely the 2 strongest factions. Man is also extremely good, but I think that Shaper is high enough upside that I agree with Shaper over Bannerman this early. We were like in desperate need of fixing, then I would say Bannerman. But at this point, early on, definitely Shaper.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't fault anybody for taking either one, but for me, I like to take the more powerful card early if I can, and then because you can usually squeak out the fixing, it seems like. And lately, I've been ending up in very linear 2 color decks, just very light splash of the third for cards like Sourpod and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Shaper here, but we'll see. Kind of.
And it's also like sometimes you even end up passing Bannerman
hmm
from if you end up picking like 3 or 4 strangers, you just have a ton of 2-drops. Like you don't generally want to play more than like drops. Like you can make exceptions for like having a bunch of cartographers or something because they can loot away
Right.
excess other 2-drops. But the 2-drop flood is definitely a real thing that can happen.
Yeah, that's a super good point to bring up because I've recognized in a couple of my drafts where it's just like I have 2-drop after 2-drop after 2-drop, and they're just a bunch of 2/2s that aren't doing anything. And it's honestly, it's super frustrating because it's like you feel like you have a very powerful set of cards, but if you never draw those bombs or whatever that you got all that fixing for, then what's the point of all the fixing?
You can also mitigate it a lot, especially in Shadow, by taking cards like Firewood Prowler. No, that's
Yeah.
the 6 power 5/5 where you sack a unit to draw 2 cards.
Yeah, that's the name.
Thorn Beast, like those are all really good with excess 2-drops.
Yes. Yeah. Good points. Good points. All right, let's take the Shaper and see what comes. Ooh.
Right. This is a pack. There are 2 extremely strong cards here in the Mighty Strikes and the Display of Honor.
Yeah.
We are so committed to the Sauropod that we're not going to just take this Display of Honor.
Do you think though?
But Display of Honor and Mighty Strikes are both powerful combat tricks.
Uh huh.
They both win basically any combat, but Display of Honor does it for half the cost frequently. It also has a removal mode if your opponent has like Amethyst Captain or something that you need to get rid of.
Right.
And then I have actually used the weapon mode once to get back welding torch and a ruination sledge. So like it's
Right.
not likely, but like the pump spell mode is better and cheaper, and it has a removal mode tacked on. I think the display of honor is enough better than Mighty Strikes that we should take it, even though we have a time card.
Oh yeah, yeah. I sorry, I must have misheard because I thought you were saying that we're committed to the sauropod. Because yeah, I agree. I think display is the pick here for exactly the reasons you say. It's more flexible. It does its job better at 3. I mean, just having a removal spell is fantastic for something problematic. So yeah, super happy to have it here. Mighty Strikes is have you had any of those combos where you work off some amplify with Glacier Shaper? Because that's pretty silly too.
Yeah, that is definitely pretty silly.
Because at first when I saw amplify, I thought it was like creating a copy of the spell or playing another copy of the spell, but it's legitimately
It adds
changing the
on. So if you
cost.
amplify it, it's a 6 cost spell. If you
Yeah,
amplify it twice, it's a 9 cost spell.
yeah, it's crazy, but that's a pretty niche case. We'll just take the display.
And display on Shaper is not bad.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I think there's two potential picks here. One is Frost Talisman and one is Token of Instinct. I think, the token is the less greedy pick, I guess. I'm not really going to miss a Frost Talisman all that much. And getting fixing early just allows you to be greedier later. What are your thoughts?
I agree. Token is the only playable card. Like you'll play Frost Talisman in the Relic deck just because it's a relic with text.
Mm-hmm.
Most games, and I've actually talked about this a lot. A lot of people really like Frost Talisman and want to always have one in all their primal decks. But I like looked back on my last 20 games because I'd been playing a bunch of drafts back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 out of those 20 games went more than 8 turns, and like 2 of those even were like 9 turns. So Frost Talisman wouldn't have been better than like Wisdom of the Elders, which isn't even a
Right.
great card.
Right.
So it's like you're looking at like 1 or 2 in 20 games. That's like 5 or 10% of games where Talisman is like taking over a game and maybe winning a game you wouldn't have won otherwise. I just don't think it's impactful enough to play in the average deck.
Yep. Especially when you're we're, likely going to end up in hopefully a more aggressive extend deck rather than something where we're trying to grind our opponent out. But with having Phoenix Stone, it's possible that we could do some grinding. But yeah, I agree. I think token just makes sense here.
Stone also like kills people pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's another like blank boring pack where you just take a token. Actually, with both of these, Skycrag plus X tokens, we might end up being able to play both of these.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we could play both Sauropod and Display potentially.
Maybe we open up Memory Dredger and we just switch to FPS.
How do you feel about Mischief Yeti?
I think Yeti is okay. Like it's fine, and it's obviously very good if you're in an aggressive deck. But this deck just doesn't look that aggressive to me.
Yep.
And I just think Token is a better card than Yeti.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're not going to be aggressive enough for Yeti here, and having the flexibility of the fixing early is always nice. So yeah, I'm going to take the token.
Also, a surprising number of pings in the format, like Amethyst Acolyte and Gaonan Hurler and stuff. Like Yeti, even Mischief Yeti itself is a ping. Like Yeti often gets like killed off for like without trading for a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, problem too. Just like another thing that trades with 2/2s.
Yes, anything that dies to all the abundance of ping effects is definitely a liability these days. Like there's a lot of people that seem okay with taking the 4-cost Justice 2/1 flyer with the renown of play the 3/2 soldier or whatever it is. And I just don't like playing that card because of all the ping effects that are around a lot.
So it's like a 2/1 for 4 is such a small body.
Mm-hmm. I guess this is kind of an interesting pick. I mean, normally I would just stay on color and take Hardsight Cyclops, but it's not a very exciting 4-drop. I feel like the Amplify bit on him is hardly ever relevant unless you're just like super aggressive. He is just a 4/3 for 3, but he is double influence fire. And barrel through.
That influence is a huge strike against it. Much like Ageless Sentinel, like it's a fine card, but it's hard to cast in a 3-faction format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and barrel
frequently gets cut in deck.
Barrel through just seems solid, and it's more fixing potentially. It is going a different direction. Like maybe we end up Rakano splashing for the primal, but I don't know. What are your thoughts between those two?
I think this pick is actually between Barrel Through and Scorpion, and we kind of like pick whether we want to go FJP or FPT. But I think Barrel Through is a stronger card, and I think our Justice card is stronger than our Time card. Display of
Yeah.
Honor is stronger than Carnivorous, like Sauropod, the Carnosaur. So I would just take Barrel Through.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
You don't
I
end up
agree with
super
that.
aggressive. Like Barrel Through is just the efficient trick that can let you win trades in the late game too.
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, just think about if they nerfed Finest Hour like they did Rapid Shot. It's basically this card without the fixing. It's still good. Like, it's silly. So, yeah, I'm happy to have Barrel Through. Dune Painter is sweet.
Do we actually have an Amplify? We don't.
Conflag.
We have Sauropod right now in Conflagrate. The real sick card of Dune Painter is Yeti Shiny Finder. And then
Yes.
for each one that you pay, you get to deal one. That is just absolutely disgusting.
I actually had a draft a while back ago that I won a game off of that. I had Dune Painter out, played Shiny Finder, and just pinged him to death on the face. It was pretty funny.
I mean, it's likely to get cut from the deck just because you don't have a Shiny Finder, but these other cards we're not going to play, so might as well get it in case we do find one.
Yeah, another card it's super good with is Bottoms Up. I mean, that card is just good on its own, but it gets stupid with Dune Painter. 1 cost for 2 more damage, and you spread it wherever you want. Like, oh my gosh, it's silly.
Bottoms Up was already Flame Blast that did X+1 instead of X-1. And then it makes it deal like X times 2. That's just disgusting.
Yeah. Okay, I guess pack. I guess Diplomat, in case we need it.
Yeah, I guess. I would prefer to not play either one. I prefer to not play this Humbug either.
Yeah, but I
Like
prefer the Humbug to the
Longsword.
Research Assistant. I hate the Research Assistant.
Research Edition is completely unplayable in any deck. Like a Crownwatch Longsword and like another cheap weapon. Like
Holy.
weapons like that would make you want to play the Humbug.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is a pick.
My instinct is just to take the Merchant, just because having access to a market is very good, and a 2/2 flyer, while not as good in constructed, is fine in draft. Ijin's Choice is even reasonable, but I'd probably be between Merchant and Torch here.
I think that Ijin's Choice is actually a little bit stronger than Welding Torch, but that might just be because last night I got blown out by Highland Sharpshooter into Ijin's Choice.
Oh gosh.
Getting that port +7, +6 on their top unit.
Oh jeez.
But I do like Winchester Merchant over either of those. Being
Yeah.
able to market is just so powerful, and like especially in draft where you don't have looting and stuff like you do have access to in constructed. Just being able to swap expensive card for a power or a power for a good situational card is so powerful. Plus, like Winchester Merchant isn't even below rate in draft. Like we play
Right.
Windrinks.
Right, exactly. And it potentially allows us to put, I guess, Token of Honor or something in the market, or even
Maybe
just
like a
a Justice
half on
Sigil.
banner, like an Argenport banner or something like that wouldn't go in our main deck,
Right.
but we could put it in the market.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, Merchant it is. Holy!
Well, I think that we might be in the right faction combination if we're getting past like bomb rares.
Yeah, there's no discussion. It's just Shelter Wing Rider, right?
Yeah, the card is absurd. And even if, like we were talking about how there's a lot of ping effects, even if it gets pinged, it's like a Dune Phantom, which is a fine card.
Right, right. I guess for discussion's sake, is there anything else in here that you like? How do you feel about Strategize in draft?
Too high on Strategize. Kind of the same reason as Wisdom. It's just like you don't have time to not affect the board because
Right.
you don't have as good of catch-up mechanisms.
Mhm.
And it's not even card advantage. So it's not like if you get to the late game of Strategize, you're like pulling ahead because you can use a lot of power in draft in this format with all the Amplify and such.
Mhm.
So I'm not high on Strategize at all. I would take Elysian Stranger. And if I was in the factions, I would take Amethyst Acolyte over it as well.
Yep, yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the most powerful card in the pack beyond Shelter Wing Rider. So cool.
Another on-faction rare. Just kidding.
So this is interesting now because with Shelter Wing Rider, we want to lean more towards the Huru side. Now we've got Oni Ronin coming through. I think we still take Oni Ronin, but it is a little bit of a awkward situation.
Yeah, so I used to be down on Oni Ronin for sort of the same reason that you were describing, where it's like, so like it's a 3 faction format. I often only have like 8 or 9 fire sources, and a bunch of them are tokens and banners and stuff. So you don't get to play it on turn one that often. To me, by isomorphic, that like when you have Oni Ronin, you can just take non-fire fixing and just like take the like Huru banner over the fire banner and that sort of thing. We don't really have that luxury here because we have 2 tokens that are in fire. But in this case, I think there just isn't anything else in the pack that
Yeah.
like Recalculator is bad. Like
Right.
it's filler, it's like playable, but it's like kind of bad. Steadfast Deputy is like actually terrible, and you'd play a power over it. Arch Report Banner could go in our market for the merchant, but we're not going to take that over a solid playable card like
Right.
the Oni.
Because, yeah, at the end of the day, we still don't know for sure that we're going to like lean more into this primal side. Maybe we still are like linear Rakano, and we just happen to have a double primal bomb at the top, you know?
Yeah, and Sheltering Rider is a fine cast on 6 power too. Like,
Yep.
That's a 5/5 flyer. That thing just dominates games.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Ooh, this is a little bit interesting. I guess I lean towards Valkyrie Arcanist here over the Sansari. Don't see us playing Reforge. If we were in Shadow, Dark Return is totally pickable here too, but we're far away from that.
Return best card, Arcanist second best card. Pretty easy. We're not playing as many pump spells as Wildfire Sansari demands, I don't think. We only have like 3 right now, counting Conflagrate as a spell.
Yeah, there just don't seem to be as many spells in this format as there were in the previous one. Seems like this one, because of Renown, is maybe a little bit more weapons focused. So I feel like I end up in a lot of decks that are very spell light and it's like attachment heavy, or especially when you've got the spellcraft weapons that kind of double as both. That's kind of your best of both worlds, I guess. All right, yeah, let's take Arcanist. Ooh.
This is a good pack. We've got the Graco and we've got the Rakano Stranger.
Yeah.
We don't actually have many 2-drops here. We've got 1. You can count Oni Ronin as a 2-drop.
Yep.
So we've got 1 so far. Grand Acolyte is stronger, but the Stranger is kind of exactly what we want right here. Like it's fixing, it's a 2-drop.
Yeah, it's so greedy for me to take Granite Acolyte here because Rakano Stranger is exactly what we want. But I kind of want to take just the Granite Acolyte. I feel like it's so powerful. If Shelter Wing Rider does somehow get turned off, it's a way to turn it back on.
Another thing to note is that since we are base Rakano, we could pick up both Rebel Sharpshooter or Bright Mace Paladin, and we already have 4 3-drops already. So I think we're going to be kind of heavy on 3s, if anything.
Yeah.
Which kind of pushes me towards taking the 2-drop as well. Although Granite Acolyte is excellent with both of the aforementioned cards.
If we did get those 3-drops, maybe it ends up being that, well, you know, Dune Phantom might not make the deck, and then Glacier Shaper is maybe too greedy of a splash or something like that. But I don't know.
Given that we have Shelter, there's no way we don't play Glacier Shaper. It's true that Dune Painter may get cut, and like probably will, even looking at the deck at this point. But
and you could even,
I think Rakano Stranger is still the pick.
Okay. Make me to be disciplined. That's a good thing.
It's possible I'm too risk averse, but I do love me a double on Stranger.
Yeah, they're definitely what you want. Citywide ban. I guess you take Barkeep's Friend for the removal, but you're likely not playing it. I guess the other choice is...
we play Barkeep's Friend?
I mean, it is another way to trigger Renown if you have to late game, but it's a very bad Magma Javelin. It's a very expensive Magma Javelin.
I almost think we just take Recog instead. It's kind of like better filler. Or Citywide ban for the...
blow out the enemy's
not for 200
bomb.
stones. Definitely not for 200 stones.
Oh. Yeah, let's just take Recog. That makes sense. Ooh. Man. 3-drops just keep
now
coming.
Since we took the Rakano Stranger earlier and we're so disciplined, you take Rusty Granamotive now.
Yeah, Rusty Granamotive is also great with Granite Acolyte. 4/4 Berserk. That's scary.
But like, is there any card that isn't great with Granite Acolyte?
What's the primal pinger, the O2?
Oh yeah, Stormcaller.
Yeah, that's bad with.
Great.
Hey, another
Oh,
double
another
on
double on Stranger.
stranger. Perfect.
As the kids say, yeet.
Oh,
The only card in our color is another Rootog, I guess. Oh, this is prime rare drafting material.
yeah, holy cow.
Oh, we might actually play this Kopesh. That's a reasonable card.
Yeah, Kopesh, I think, I mean, think of it on Glacier Shaper. Yikes. That's
Both of the six
nasty.
cost weapons are much, much better than they look. Kopesh and
Oathkeeper's Hammer?
set four. I think Hammer's a little
Yes.
better than Kopesh, but they're
Yes.
both much, much better than they look. They just look unplayable, and in practice, they play out really well.
Yeah, I agree. The life swing you get from Hammer is silly. It can be just a huge swing for you and just puts the game in your favor so quickly. So, man, I think we're in the right spot.
Yeah, we have like 2 bombs here.
hmm Iron Fist Archon and Line Breakers.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
hmm And I mean, there's even Arcanist and good old Flame Blast. But yeah, I mean, it's just, in my mind, it's just Archon. It's just us 5/5 for 6 is solid, and the ability is great if we happen to make it to the late game, which we might with this deck, honestly.
It's a board style breaker. I actually like Linebreaker's Shield more.
Yeah.
It draws the card. It makes the guy huge. It's especially brutal on a flyer because you shut down your opponent's flyers.
hmm
Better than Archon a few times.
Yeah. Interesting.
Archon does cost. Is it 5 or 6 to activate? It costs a lot. So
6 to activate. Yeah.
yeah, it takes up your whole turn. So you need to like play it and then like have a bunch of units in play and spend another whole other turn activating it. Like, it's kind of like Frost Talisman, except that it comes on a 5/5 body, so it's a lot better because it also is just huge.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
Given the
point.
choice between like the 5/5 with a Frost Talisman attached and a Linebreaker Shield, I actually like the Shield, and we might actually pick up some renown. Like we could get a Oni Forge Master or another Glacier Shaper or something.
I mean, given how this draft is going, we're going to see a Hojin late in pack 4, so we might as well take the shield. But yeah,
That seems very good on Hojin.
oh god, yeah. Holy cow. Be insane. Why hasn't that deck come around and constructed yet?
You play Horde Plunderer too.
Yes. Yeah, I think I will take the shield. You've convinced me, and we've got plenty of primal fixing. Like, you're not playing this card till turn 5, hopefully, unless you're desperate. So I think it's fine to take here. And I agree, the ability on Archon is slow, and we would prefer to end games a little sooner than later. It's also another way to turn Shelter Wing Rider back on. A 2/7 flyer is silly. So yeah, let's do
With
that.
endurance. And
Yeah,
right now
with
we're looking at
endurance.
2 strangers, a triple on token, and a double on token. So when we play 18 power, that gives us 25 sources already. So you get like another stranger banner or something, then we're gonna be like 28 sources, which is like perfectly fine to be like a heavy 3 faction, like a deck that's heavily in 3 factions. Yeah, like this pack right here, where I like Stranger more than I like Miner's Musket. Like you can high roll with Musket, but at the end of the day, it's just the talent of Nostrix.
Yeah, exactly. And you like it more than Dragon Breath as well?
Yeah, I'm actually not that high on Dragon Breath. Like it's a solid card, and you're never gonna cut it from your deck. Like it's nice that it enables Renown, but a lot of times the tempo cost is pretty heavy. Like you can't play a unit in the same turn, so like you're giving up an attack in order to play it. I just think the strangers are, especially a double on stranger like this, is just gonna be a lot more consistently good.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think you bring up a
Of
good
note,
point about the tempo loss of Dragon Breath, but yeah, I do love that it does activate Renown. Like, hey, Mentor is actually good a little bit.
Dragon Breath goes way, way up if you picked up a couple of Surveillors in pack 1, because it's just like
Yes.
hard removal.
Yeah, that's crazy. I do
Attack
love me
anyways,
some
5/2,
Surveillors.
and it just becomes a deal 5 for 2, which is pretty great.
Yeah, fair. All right, let's take the Stranger. I think I like the Renegade Valkyrie here more than anything else. It's just a good way to finish games,
How
especially
many
now.
weapons do we have right now? We've got Shield, we've got a couple of tricks, we've got Kopesh.
Yeah, shield is the main one.
Valkyrie Arcanist as well. Yeah, we've got a lot of weapons. I think that Renegade Valkyrie is. How many 2-drops do we have? Do we need to take a Stranger instead?
We got 4 at
4.
the moment, so we are pretty
And play
low.
Valkyrie in an emergency. In an emergency, I mean. I think that taking Renegade Valkyrie here is defensible.
Yeah. Could replace
If we
the
get it like a
Recogulator.
welding torch, for example, that's
Yeah.
just a complete blowout.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love me some Renegade Valkyrie. I think she's very strong, and the fact that she's a 1-2 instead of a 2-1, thank God.
Yeah, avoids those pinks.
My goodness, they really want us to play Miner's Musket. Looks
Musket's
just
fine. We can take another musket here. That counts as a 2-drop. Like maybe you high roll it on like Arcanist or.
You think you take it over Banner here? Just to have
Let's see. So
another primal source?
we have 3 strangers, and then the half of tokens is +9. So like 27 sources right now. Close. Not sure what the correct pick is between Banner and Musket. If we had more 2-drops, I'd say for sure Banner, but we
I
might
guess
end up being 2-drop.
let's think of it as let's think about it as like coming from a removal perspective. So right now we have can flag, display. That's pretty much it. So maybe we need this removal because this, yes, it's potentially 2-drop that just trades with their strangers, something like that. But it could also take a flyer out late game or something like that too. So maybe it is worth taking here.
Cost reduction can be relevant.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
I let you double spell. Even if it just hits like a 3-drop or 4-drop, like can let you double spell on turn 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's take the musket, I guess, over the banner. Be a little greedy.
You get to try out the rare,
Yeah, yeah. We're honestly just rare drafting here because don't we have
A lot of
Celestial
rares.
Overman in here?
I guess you have a lot of shift zone already, so you don't really need to. But
Yeah, yeah, and I have some in the bank too. I don't always click it right away. I like to hoard it a little bit and then just see a big explosion at one point. So
to do that too. Before set 5 came out, I got up to like 70,000 shift zone hiding behind the button.
wow, nice. Yeah, I think I'm at like 30,000 or something right now. It's a good feeling. I guess I'm looking at Bodyguard just as a defensive unit. I don't see Warhelm being great, but maybe I'm wrong. Have you had any experience playing Warhelm in draft?
I've never tried it just because it looks so bad. Like I'd rather play Heavy Axe, and
Right.
I don't think this is a Heavy Axe deck because you don't have any Coastal Huntsmen.
Mm-hmm. Or like 8 Unmoored Valkyrie. I remember a draft very early on in this set where my opponent went turn 1 Unmoored Valkyrie, turn 2 I think it was Smith's Hammer or something like that. And then turn 3 was, I don't know, 2 more weapons on there, like maybe Ruination Sledge. And then I was dead by turn 5. I was like, holy cow, this is frustrating.
And like Heavy Axe isn't even that good in our deck. Like we have the Unmoored Valkyrie, the Renegade Valkyrie for it, and then like
Rusty and Glacier, maybe. Yeah. It's like pretty bad on
flying
Glacier.
blocker is probably going to be better for us.
Yep. Even if it is a double influence card, I think it's still right here. I mean, worst case scenario, honestly, since we have the merchant, worst case scenario, we could put Bodyguard in the market or something like that. So
basically like marketing for bring down, right?
Guess we just take the 2-drop of Grenarender, right?
Yeah, mediocre 3 versus mediocre 2, and the 2 is in our like main faction. Like, we're a base Rakano deck, so yeah, I agree. Grenarender. Yeah. I also had a pretty sick Grenarender recently. Like, I just playing it as kind of filler in my deck as a vanilla 2/2. And my opponent played a Thief's Pick that was gonna kill me, and then Grenarender has an ability. I can kill their Thief's Pick and block.
Yeah, unlike the one that plays Shamebear or whatever, the -3, -0. God. Terrible in that cycle. But yeah, Grenarender's very nice, and I'm trying to think about the rest of that cycle. Obviously, Magenta Wisp is stupid good.
Ring Offering is like okay, kind of like the same as Grenarender.
Yeah, yeah. What's the other one? What's the primal one? Oh, the Yeti. It's so bad.
Oh yeah, that one is the worst.
Since
That's
there's no more
even worse than
tribute.
Chamber.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Granite Render. Man,
Oh, do we have any deadly units for this ice bow?
we
Looks
do
like
not.
no.
It is nice on Glacier Shaper.
We got
I
like
guess it's
Kopech,
nice on Renegade
Arcanist.
Valkyrie because it's the wielders dealing the damage, so it's a 2-ping there.
I think I'm more interested in the banner here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, like, yes, Icebow is good, but I'd rather just up the consistency of our deck and,
We have
focus
double
there.
influence cards,
Mm-hmm.
like multiple double influence cards now. So I like just locking in the influence here.
Yeah, let's do that.
We got another Kopech anyways. I don't know if we're gonna play it, but
Yeah. It's how many dark returns have we seen? I feel like we're seeing a ton of those.
Tower Shield does give us armor to combo with whatever that card's name is.
Bodyguard, yeah, true. It is another like just imagine if this card had endurance. Like at least it would be more playable at that point, but
I hear it's a healer's cloak, which is like actually a good card, don't get me wrong, but it's just so Tower Shield is just so much worse than like every conceivable axis.
yeah. I mean, is there any world where we would want Smith's Hammer here? Because
I mean,
there's no
are we
way we're
playing
playing
Humbug?
3 6-cost weapons, right?
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, you could put one in the market, I guess. I mean, and we're going to. But
Yeah.
the Smith Hammer question is really comes down to like, are we hard up enough to want to play Humbug that we want Smith's Hammer? Like, it's fine on like Glacier Shaper and
Right.
Renegade Valkyrie as well, but
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of better cards in our deck that are also good with those cards.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I guess I'll take the Tower Shield. I feel like that's a decent market card. Oh my god. Heavy Axe it
Hey,
is?
get our heavy axe in here. All right.
Yeah. Arcane Defenses.
And we're not playing, I guess.
Holy.
Yeah. Ooh, double arcane defenses.
Yeah, watch out, world. How do you feel about Gilded Flames? I've not been super impressed with that card.
Yeah, 2 just isn't enough to kill many things. And then even if you do kill it, like you have to pay more power for the treasure troves. It's like the slowest possible 2-for-1. Like
Yeah.
Eye for an Eye is already like almost too slow, and
Oh
this is
my
slower
gosh.
than that, and more conditional because it can't kill big guys.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just looking at barrel through here. Just another solid trick. I guess before we get too far, we should do a quick unit count just to make sure we're on track. Just see where we're at. 14. So we got some units to get still, but I'm not so desperate for units that I'm going to take on more Valkyrie here.
Yeah,
So I
I
would
think
just
we
look
can
at barrel
pretty
through.
pick up 3 or 4, and if we have to, we've got a couple more like filler units that we'd like to cut, but we can play, and they won't be atrocious like the Painter and the Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
True.
Barrel through it is. Hey.
Oh, there's our shiny finder. I'll just stop and look at the pack first. There is
Oh
a
my
beast.
god. That stupid card.
Well, I think we're supposed to Beastmaster and just not play this Dune Painter. Beastmaster is just a ridiculous card, and we have a lot of ways to enable it. Shiny Finder is a 5-drop, but
True.
we've got
Beastmaster's
barrel
just a better
throughs,
one.
we've got Linebreaker's Shield, we've got Display of Honor. Like we've got a ton of renown enablers. I think this is like an excellent Beastmaster deck, and Beastmaster is an excellent card.
Yeah.
Forget
This was one card I was really surprised that they didn't touch at all in that round of nerfs.
Make it a 5/4 or something.
Yeah, something just to give it a little less power. Even just taking away the overwhelm or something like that so that it's chumpable, because I feel like you get into a situation where you're trying to fight this card and like you could potentially win in the air still if they renown it and they just get a 2/2 squirrel because maybe you have a bigger flyer. But just the fact that this dude has renown and is now bigger because of whatever they put on him, he's just really hard to deal with.
Did pull off the Dispel plus Fall Short combo on multiple Beastmasters in a draft that I did it last week.
Oh man, that's rough. I'm just looking at Recruit here as solid filler.
Forgeborn and Magmatic Sentinel are too expensive.
Yeah.
Unmoved Valkyrie is too bad. Coastal Recruit, solid filler.
Yep. Man.
Nice. We get another Shiny Finder or a Banner, man. How many 2-drops did we end up with?
5. So we do need probably like
Musket and Congregate that can like be a 2-drop in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
3 strangers,
I do like
2
Shiny
banners, and a
Finder quite a
token.
bit. I've really grown to like Lazy Fireman since they changed it, especially if you have bare arms, which sadly we don't.
That's just not remotely fair.
I mean, just getting a 5/4 on turn 4 is silly. But yeah, this is kind of a hard pick.
Do you think Shiny Finder is stronger than Firemane, since we know that we're FP for sure?
Yeah.
Bannerman is certainly more interesting. What's our playable count? If you like omit the like dubious cards like Heavy Axe and Valkyrie and stuff, we need more playables or
25. So we do need a few
so
more.
we're not like pressed into playing as Dune Painter. I still think it's Shiny Finder though. Like Bannerman is great, but we've got 6, 7, 8, 10 extra sources already, which is about where we want to be. Another token anyways. So I think you take the Shiny Finder. The upside is very high.
Yeah, and I mean, just having a double pledge card it just makes things a lot easier. I love pledge has been great. What's your thoughts on pledge?
Most times I get a chance to.
Yeah. Early on, I was super greedy and I hated to pledge when I had like my bomb in my hand, my Colossal Teriax or something like that. But even now, I'm like, okay, think about it. Would you rather be able to play your cards or would you rather, be greedy and lose because you can't play your
card in your
cards?
hand?
Yeah, exactly.
It does feel bad to pledge a Mantisaur or a Moonstone Vanguard. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep. All right, let's take the Shiny Finder. Talking about pledge.
Like it's much better than Kosu Recruit.
Yep, definitely. I think it is great. Nothing else really here for us, so we'll take the Recruit. Shiny Surveiller, another pledge card.
And I mean, we're gonna play Surveiller, and we're not gonna play like Tunneling Gargantua.
Yeah, and we're gonna cut the Recogulator. Yep. How do you feel about Oni Samurai?
I think it's basically like Softfoot Burglar, where it's all but unplayable, and you only are not embarrassed to play it if you're like a hyper aggressive deck. But I haven't had much success with hyper aggressive decks.
Yeah.
And your deck just rolls over.
Yeah, it just can't get in enough times to make it worth it. So
that's a late power breach.
Yeah, it is.
We definitely can't play it though, but so this is kind of a blank pack.
Yep. We'll just take Rotorsmith. Maybe it's another way to turn on our bodyguard from the market or something.
Ooh, that's actually like not even unreasonable.
Or Chancellor's Horn.
How much armor gain? Bodyguard tribal deck.
Oh my god, what is this doing now? Okay.
Hammer is nice. That's gonna make our deck.
Yes. And Borrowed Violence. I hate this cycle of cards.
Yeah, all the zero cost cards are completely unplayable. They just like clunk up the packs.
I'm just like, why did they even make that cycle? Like, or why hasn't Loco Pojo broken it yet?
In the market. Just so we remember to make a market.
Yes, good point. Let's put the sigil in there. Pretty decent.
I would put Kopesh in there over
Tower Shield.
Kopesh is just so much better.
Yeah, true. And it's not a smuggler that we got, so we don't have to worry about that having copies in the main.
How many cuts do we get? Oh, you already took out the power.
Yeah.
You hid the power?
Yeah, I hid the power.
So I guess we only get one cut. I mean, all of our cards are good.
Right?
I'm not unhappy with this deck.
No, I think this is going to be a nice deck.
The cut is Recogulator.
Could be Recogulator. I'm almost wondering if it's one of these like filler 3-drops. Like
Dune Painter.
Yeah, Dune Painter. But we did get the Shiny Finder. We got Shiny Finder and we have Conflag, but those are the only two. So Dune Painter is pretty like fringe case.
If we had taken that second Shiny Finder, I guess I would keep this Dune Painter. But yeah, as is, cutting Dune Painter seems reasonable. We still have like 6 3-drops.
Yeah, I mean, the other option I would say is cutting like Coastal Recruit or Recogulator, but I would rather cut one of the 3s, I think. So I think I'm looking at that Dune Painter put his head on the chopping block.
Yeah, the combo with Shiny Finder is cute, but if you just have one of each, it's pretty unlikely to come together.
Right. All right, let's
We
cut
should have
that.
valued the Shiny Finder higher, but I think when we did the playable count, like we just had enough playables, so we didn't need to lean into the Dune Painter and could just be like a deck that's more consistent because it's just full of cards that are good on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this deck doesn't look to have like a ton of synergy beyond just like renown, which I hardly call renown synergy. It's like you're getting rewarded for doing what you already want to do. Like
It
it's
just
not
happens
right.
automatically. You don't have to work for it, really.
Yeah.
Mix, we got good weapons.
Yeah, we really did. And just some nice bombs at the top with Shelter Wing, Beastmaster.
Primal is our lightest faction, but we do have the double Primal card.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, 4 duels, one of which is a token.
Yeah, let me get the power
We
in
have,
here.
yeah, this, we have 1, 2, oh, we've only 3 duels.
Yeah.
There's +4 from the powers and +6 from the strangers. We have 28 influence sources. So like 10, 9, 9, most in fire.
Mm-hmm.
So all 3 of our strangers and all 3 of our duels make fire. Is that correct?
Yes.
6.
So that's 10 fire.
One is pretty bad, but like whatever. It's a 2-drop. And then
9 justice. And then 7 primal.
this is 11 justice because they were counter strangers. So cut 2 J's for peace.
You think?
7 justice powers and 2 strangers. That's 9.
Yep. So yeah, that's 11. Yeah, you're right.
Primals as well. Yeah. So we're 10 fire, 9 justice, 9 primal.
Yep.
Plus the
I'm
barrel
worried
through,
about
like 3 extra fixing.
I'm worried about ending up with too much primal.
We do have a double P card.
Yeah, but like you said, we don't mind if we play it on 6 even.
Are you thinking cutting it for a justice or a fire? Like to help the Ronin or to...
We have way more double justice than we have fire, but we do want turn 1 Oni Ronin as often as possible.
I can see cutting it for justice, or like 10, 10, 8, plus the barrel throughs to get us our second primal for the
Right.
the shelter wings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm down.
And then we also have the market to grab another justice too if we wanted.
Market is actually pretty decent. We've got like a big weapon,
Yeah.
A flyer, a silence.
Silence, yeah. This is the only questionable thing, but I don't think we have anything else in there.
It's either that or Tower Shield. I don't think you want 2 6-cost weapons.
Yeah. You mean we don't want arcane defenses?
Or Chancellor's Horn.
Yeah, let's play the same card essentially, but doesn't have a body attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
Cool. Just want to close out this drafting and deck building portion of Drafting with Masters with Lights Out Ace by saying thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Also very excited that we hit our 250 subscriber milestone. And just want to thank you guys for your support. Next, what will happen is we'll go into the games video where Lights Out Ace and I will play through the games with this deck. So I hope to see you in the next video.